Senhoras e senhores, muito boa tarde. Bem-vindos à cerimónia de apresentação do Prémio Europeu Helena Vaz da Silva para a Divulgação do Património Cultural 2024. Conduzirá esta sessão Snežka Quedvlich-Mihailović, Secretária-Geral da Europa Nostra, Organização Europeia de Defesa e Promoção do Património, que o Centro Nacional de Cultura representa.
National Cultural Centre represents in Portugal.
Madam Secretary of State for Culture, Mr. Helena, dear Pete, Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends. It is an immense pleasure for Europa Nostra and me to be back to Lisbon. I always say this is arguably the most beautiful and most hospitable city in our Europe. And being back here for this special occasion, which has become one of the highlights of Europe's cultural and heritage calendar, the annual presentation ceremony of the Helena Vaz da Silva Award. We are gathered here at this iconic site, the headquarters of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, a true temple of art and science for the benefit of everyone. And we are gathered to demonstrate our joint commitment to a Europe of culture and to a Europe of values, which was so central to the entire life of an extraordinary European woman from Portugal, Helena Vaz da Silva. As a journalist, a cultural leader and activist, and a member of the European Parliament, Helena Vaz da Silva made an outstanding contribution to the promotion of our Europe based on our shared cultural heritage and values. And it's wonderful to see that the spirit of Helena continues to bring us together every year in this place to honor other extraordinary champions of these values from all over Europe. And altogether, it is our duty, but also our joy to pursue the immense legacy of Helena Vaz da Silva. For the opening address of this evening of celebration, I'm delighted to give the floor to our host and Europa Nostra's esteemed partner, the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, and its trustee, Guilherme de Oliveira Martins. Dear Guilherme, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Snežka. It's always a great pleasure, as I said to you, to receive the spirit of Europa Nostra here. First of all, primeiro que tudo, Senhora Secretária de Estado da Cultura, muito obrigado pela sua presença aqui. É sempre gosto.
It's always a pleasure to welcome you and my President, my dear colleague, António Feijó. Thank you very much. Professor Maria Calado, President of the National Cultural Centre. Special words go to Helena, the daughter, Helena, and the family of Helena Vaz da Silva, who will never forget. So Helena is the symbol of our initiative, is an example that is always present when we talk about the heritage of the memory that are living realities. Contribution was remarkable, not only because of the respect for the cultural heritage, but also for the defense of the universal ideals of humanism and citizenship. So cultural heritage is a reality, a dynamic and multifaceted reality that encloses a number of factors which leads us to receive everything from generations before us, but it is a seat of contemporaneity and modernity. This is this 12th edition of the Helena Vaz da Silva award for the dissemination of cultural heritage. I think there are laureates today.
Because for us it's very important to receive you and to assure that your role, your presence is a symbol of what we think about the cultural heritage. Also, a special word to Joanna Avram. For us is a special mention of the jury this year, and congratulations. And for us, we thank because of your presence. Depois de Jorge Chaminé.
And then after Georges Chaminé and Oksana Liniv last year, and Anna-Theresa Kisperker, then to Mendoza, Familia Genox, to Natalie Hooks, Wimbenders, Eduardo Lorenzo, Jordi Saval, Oren Pamuk, and Claudio Magris. We have the honor to receive among the laureates of the Helena Silva Award, Thomas Strutt. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Muito
querido Guilherme. You are one of also those champions of the values of humanism, and thank you for stressing the importance of humanism. We need it together. And a big thank you to the Gulbenkian Foundation for having been one of the founding supporters of the Helena Vaz da Silva Award. We are, of course, particularly honored also that tonight we have the president of the foundation with us, and he will take the floor later this ceremony. I mean, your work of your foundation is so outstanding and such a role model for many around Europe and the world. Congratulations on the latest achievement, the recent opening of the Center for Contemporary Art, extraordinary achievement. So we are really very proud that also Europa Nostra can count on your invaluable support and input to the work, our work in Europe, and most recently to the activities of the European Heritage Hub, which includes the launch of the Europa Nostra Heritage Hub here in Lisbon. And I very much hope that we will continue to join our voices and forces to demonstrate to promote the role, vital role, of culture and cultural heritage for Europe's triple transformation, green, digital and social, and for our sense of belonging and sense of togetherness. I think this is needed today more than ever. To introduce this 12th edition of our award, I'm pleased now to give the floor to Madam Maria Calado, President of the Centro Nacional de Cultura and President of the jury of this award. Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Snežka. Muito boa tarde a todos. Cumprimento especialmente a Senhora Secretária de Estado, o Senhor Presidente da Fundação Carlos de Gulbenkian, anfitriã deste prémio, desta cerimónia, dirigentes da Europa Nostra, Vice-Presidente, Presidente Executivo e Secretária-Geral, querida Snežka. Também a doutora Teresa Ferreira, em representação do Turismo de Portugal, o Sr. Presidente do Clube Português de Imprensa, caro Guilherme Oliveira Martins e restantes membros do júri do prémio, ilustre premiado Thomas Strutt, Joanna Avram, distinguida também com o reconhecimento especial do júri, caros convidados. O Prémio Europeu Helena Vaz da Silva é um dos projetos mais relevantes do Centro Nacional de Cultura. Dá corpo e forma aos ideais daquela que foi, para nós, uma presidente carismática, que afirmou a essencialidade da cultura para a cidadania o desenvolvimento e a felicidade. É sempre oportuno assinalar a sua ação no contexto português e em organismos internacionais de referência, como o Parlamento Europeu, o Conselho da Europa, a Unesco e a Europa Nostra. E é precisamente no âmbito da Europa Nostra, a maior rede da sociedade civil na área do património cultural, que o Centro Nacional de Cultura tem a honra de representar oficialmente em Portugal. É exatamente no âmbito desta grande organização que nos envolvemos em projetos e parcerias internacionais, promovendo a Europa da cultura, reforçando a voz dos cidadãos na defesa e valorização de ideais comuns. É o caso do Prémio Helena Vaz da Silva, mas também do projeto piloto European Heritage Hub e dos Prémios Europeus de Património. Mas este Prémio Helena Vaz da Silva, por regulamento, é atribuído anualmente a um cidadão cuja carreira se tenha distinguido pela difusão, defesa e promoção do património cultural da Europa. Concretizamos este projeto em parceria com outras instituições, a Fundação Carlos de Gulbenkian, o Clube Português de Imprensa. São parceiros que muito estimamos e agradecemos a esta instituição, na pessoa dos seus representantes, esta parceria e a continuidade deste prémio. O projeto tem envolvimento e apoio financeiro do setor público, o Ministério da Cultura, o Ministério dos Negócios Estrangeiros e o Turismo de Portugal, mas também do setor privado, desde logo, e mais uma vez, a Fundação Carlos de Gulbenkian, que é simultaneamente parceira e mecenas. A todos vós, o nosso agradecimento. Ao Ministério da Cultura por comungar desta visão de património cultural em que memória e criação contemporânea são indissociáveis, ao Ministério dos Negócios Estrangeiros por acreditar no papel de uma organização não governamental na representação internacional de Portugal, ao Turismo de Portugal pela sua visão estratégica de valorizar o património e a cultura como recurso turístico. Continuamos a contar convosco. O prémio é atribuído por um júri internacional constituído por personalidades relevantes pelo seu currículo e atividade no âmbito da cultura e da comunicação. Ao seu prestígio, conhecimento e rigor e envolvimento permanente, devemos a atribuição e a qualificação do prémio. Em nome do Centro Nacional de Cultura e também na qualidade de presidente do júri deste prémio, exprimo reconhecimento e agradecimento profundo e um abraço muito carinhoso para Pete Aspert, Francisco Pinto Balsemão, Irina Subotic, Mariana Terdal, João David Nunes, Guilherme Oliveira Martins. Este ano a distinção recaiu sobre Thomas Strutt, a quem felicito de viva voz. Muitos parabéns.
Actually, warmly. The award winner will be presented by the President of the Carlos Gulbenkian Foundation, Professor António Feijó, who is well aware of his career in the arts and citizenship. Finally, a special thanks goes to the President of the Republic for the way in which he has accompanied the Helena Vaz da Silva Award over the years, and in the possibility of attending this ceremony in person has left us a meaningful message. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's wonderful for us in Europa Nostra to count on Centro Nacional de Cultura as our ambassadors and our partners, and so we are delighted that now you are also most active partners within the consortium of the European Heritage Hub that you mentioned as well, and also especially a coordinator of Europa Nostra Heritage Hub in Lisbon that also received the support of the city and the mayor of Lisbon. So you really feel very much at home, and that here it is a stronghold of that European movement for cultural heritage. We have that here in Portugal and in Lisbon. Ladies and gentlemen, Centro Nacional de Cultura and Europa Nostra are both civil society organizations, and we are benefiting from the contribution of many professionals and volunteers. But one of the key elements of our advocacy work is to raise the profile of culture and cultural heritage among the policy and funding priorities of public bodies at all levels of governments, from local and national to European and even global. And we are therefore honored to have with us tonight the Portuguese Secretary of State for Culture, and I'm pleased to give the floor to Madame Maria de Lourdes Craveiro.
Thank you very much. Excelentíssimo Sr. Presidente da Fundação Carlos de Gulbenkian, nosso anfitrião, Dr. António Feijó.
António Feijó, Madam President of the National Center of Culture, Maria Calado, Vice President and Secretary General of Europa Nostra, honorable members of the jury of the Helena Vaz da Silva European Award, lay relatives, family of Helena Vaz da Silva, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished winners. It is a privilege to participate in the award of the Helena Vaz da Silva European Award, raising awareness on cultural heritage, which since 2013 has been honoring European citizens who have excelled in different areas of culture. The recognition inherent in this award is at the same time a tribute to the memory of an extraordinary woman who, throughout her life, was a guiding light in the active defense of Portuguese culture and language. The exercise of a critical citizenship and the cultural values that differentiate us, but that also unite us all in a transnational way. Today, we celebrate more than one award. We celebrate the sensitivity, the boldness of creation, the commitment to freedom, and the transformative power of culture that inspires us all. The Helena Vaz da Silva European Award, presented to Thomas Struth, could not be more authentic. His work transcends a simple act of capturing images. Thomas Struth doesn't just photograph. He reveals the inescapable ties that connect us to the past, demonstrating how cultural heritage informs and enriches our contemporary experience. His work calls for a closer look at the world around us in an insistent and permanent challenge, looking for what is beyond us. His special perception of the phenomenon of loneliness, uprooting, shatter, or unbearable emptiness leads us to the people, to the places where we live and where we worship, where we work, and where we make so many mistakes and stumble so many others in the scars of everyday life. The lens that focuses on architecture or landscape forces the reflection suffered. Each photograph is an open window, not only to what the eye sees, but to everything that moves within each of us. It is an invitation to explore the intersection between culture, history, and human condition. And this is of great relevance at a time when Europe and the world are facing complex and multifaceted challenges. The work of this year's winner is also a vehicle to foster understanding and appreciation of cultural diversity, not only as a legacy, but also as a living and dynamic asset that shapes our collective identity. His images are thus powerful testimony to how heritage is above all human. involves us all in different ways and is not a static concept but a living force that we build, that shapes us as a society and influences our future. I express my deep gratitude for the work of Thomas Trust, wishing him to continue to question us through the images, to present challenges on different realities in different parts of the world, exposing what we have in common or our distinctive signs, and forcing us to the difficult exercise of looking at ourselves. I congratulate as well ballerina Joanna Avren, principal dancer of the Vienna Opera Ballet, for her sensitivity, versatility, technique, and graceful artistic interpretation, and she also deserves the special recognition dedicated to her by the awards juries. I commend the timely way in which on this occasion she took the opportunity to recall her origin in a partially occupied country where she began her training, and her choice to work in a company that projects itself as a world reference and that is composed of professionals from multiple cultural backgrounds. Her career, with different trainings in several European cities, is an example of the opportunities that Europe offers. I therefore welcome her outstanding artistic performance, exposing the deep social inequalities that persist in Europe and beyond, destructive radicalisms, and environmental and social degradation. Johanna Avram, making Johanna Avram a true ambassador of European cultural heritage. I conclude by praising the excellent choices of the jury of the Helena Vaz de Silva European Award and congratulating the winners, who are undeniably an inspiration to all of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary of State, for stressing so, in such a powerful way, the transformative power of culture that is embodied in such a way and personified by our laureates here present that we celebrate tonight. So, Excellencies, and of course, before pursuing, many thanks to the Ministry of Culture for supporting this award scheme, and since this year also alongside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we really appreciate your support. Dear colleagues and friends, as you have already heard, this year the jury of our award decided to give a special recognition to a star ballet dancer from Cyprus, Johanna Avram. Let me read you the citation of the jury. Through your art, you, Johanna Avram, you contributed and you contribute to the promotion of Europe's intangible cultural heritage, promoting values such as freedom, equality, and respect for diversity. It is my immense pleasure to invite Androula Vasiliou, Vice President of Europa Nostra and the much esteemed former European Commissioner for Culture, who has inspired and encouraged many of us to persevere in our work for the Europe of culture. So it's wonderful, Androula, you are also from Cyprus. Wonderful that you are here, back. We still remember 2012 when in the Hieronymus we were giving, together with our president then, Placido Domingo, our European Heritage Awards, Europa Nostra Awards. But tonight you are here as our vice president and as admirer of our special recognition, and it is up to you to do the laudatio for Johanna Avram. Welcome.
Madam Secretary of State for Culture, Mr. President of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, Madam President of the Centro Nacional de Cultura and President of the jury, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. President of the Press Club, and representatives of the Helena de Silva family. It is really a great pleasure for me to be in Lisbon and the Gulbenkian Foundation after so many years. And I must tell you, although I have been here twice before, it's the first time I had the time to spend the whole morning in the museum, admiring the collection, both of the traditional museum and, of course, of the Museum of Modern Art. And I congratulate you for this immense treasure that you offer to the public. I was particularly happy to be invited to attend this beautiful award ceremony in the context of the Helena de Silva competition, and to introduce to you the young Cypriot ballet dancer who has excelled through her art beyond the territory of our small island state, and to whom the jury decided to award this special distinction. I met Ioanna Avram last year when the Cyprus Academy of Science and Letters and the Arts, at a special ceremony at the Presidential Palace, awarded Ioanna their 2023 award, the Artist of the Year. From her Cypriot first ballet teacher, Nadine Aloizidou, I hear that as a small child, Ioanna, who started her ballet lessons at the age of 4, was a very timid child, but very expressive through her dancing, which was a talent and love she always manifested. As expected by her teacher, Ioanna progressed exceptionally well, and after a few years, she started participating at various international dance competitions, such as in Varna in Bulgaria, in London, and others with great success. It was at the final of the Prix de Lausanne World Dance Competition that the director of the Heinz Bossel Stiftung Ballet Academy of Munich was impressed by Ioanna's performance and offered her a scholarship to further her studies and skills at their school, an offer which Ioanna accepted. Since her childhood, however, Ioanna had a secret ambition to dance at the Vienna State Dance Company, one of the world's most significant cultural capitals. So when she completed her studies in Munich, and there was an opening at the Vienna State Dance Company, she went for an audition and was accepted, thus succeeding for her dream to become true. There, she progressed through all the ranks of a classical dance company, reaching the highest level. She started as a member of the Corps de Ballet, then progressed to demi-soloist, and finally was promoted to principal dancer after the director and choreographer Martin Schleifer followed her touching performance as Tatiana in John Crankos Onegin and was immensely impressed. She danced some of the major roles from the classical, neoclassical, and contemporary repertoire, which are too many for me to mention. Some lucky ones may have enjoyed her dancing at the Swan Lake these days in Vienna. Many of us enjoyed her dancing at the New Year concert from Vienna this year, which we watch European-wide through Eurovision. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm not qualified as an expert to speak about Ioanna's dancing, allow me to quote from the expert's opinion. Martin Schleifer, referred to the above, had this to say about Ioanna's dancing, and I quote, "Her beauty and charismatic appearance on stage, her immense technical ability, her gorgeous sense of line, paired with an incredible soaring ability to jump, her imaginative portraits of the big ballerina roles make her a unique and outstanding force in today's dance world. An ex-ballet dancer and for the last 12 years a dance international critic and interviewer of many personalities of the world of dance, Ricardo Leitner, has this to say about Ioanna. For the last 13 years, I have been following her career and observing how she steps and jumps ahead, set herself to conquer not only the goals, but also the path. And conquer them she did. Not long ago, while watching Miss Avram's debut as Kitri in Don Quixote, a light went on and refused to leave me until now. I became aware of the sunshine that was glowing inside her, probably a childhood memory from Cyprus. We could go on for hours analyzing her excellent and precise technical gifts, but for me this is not the point. I want to refer to the artistry, the exquisite and unique one, without any trace of affectation, that she brings to her interpretations. A few years ago, her display of emotions in Giselle brought me down in tears while watching the show, while experiencing this story being told. We are the lucky ones to enjoy her high caliber artistry with no phony, superficial affectations. Ioanna, ladies and gentlemen, has been a tremendous ambassadress to her homeland, Cyprus, her adopted country, Austria, and its Vienna State Opera, and of Europe in general, whenever she has been, wherever she has performed. She has set quite an example, and the standard of her work and her personal talent sets a scale for others to follow. I wish to congratulate Ioanna for this distinction and express the hope that she will continue with success the amazing career that she chose for herself. But before ending, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to congratulate the winner of this year's Helena de Silva 24 Award, the great photographer Thomas Struth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Andrula, for this moving tribute. And now I would like, of course, to invite Ioanna Avram to join us here on stage, and also would like to invite Mr. Guilherme de Oliveira Martins from the Gulbenkian Foundation and Mrs. Teresa Ferreira, representative of the Tourism of Portugal, another invaluable supporter of these awards, to come. Ioanna, please join us in the center of the stage. Guilherme and Teresa, and there we have the diploma. Yes, so you will all. So I think we will hear from Ioanna, but I think we will first see a video that will introduce, and then Ioanna will take the floor. So video, please.
Madam Secretary of State for Culture, Mr. President of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, Madam President of the Centro Nacional de Cultura and President of the Jury of the Award, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador of the Republic of Cyprus. I would like to thank the Vice President of Europa Nostra, Mrs. Vasiliou, for her introduction and kind words about me, as well as for her initiative to nominate me for the Helena Vaz da Silva Award for raising public awareness on cultural heritage and which is given by the Centro Nacional de Cultura. It's my third day in Lisbon and I'm truly impressed. I managed to visit 2 museums and to attend a dance performance of the National Ballet Company. I realized that the city has a rich cultural life, much like Vienna, where I have been living and working for the past 17 years. Over these 3 days, I felt even more deeply the unifying power of the arts and culture and the bright side of human creativity. A prime example is tonight's event with the presence of the state's representatives as well as people from the arts, letters, and sciences. I would like to congratulate the photographer Thomas Struth, who is being honored this year with the highest award. His photographs are unique, reflecting our reality in a special way, while also provoking us to reflect on the course of human civilization. Being chosen to receive a special recognition by the jury, beyond the personal joy and emotion, I believe honors the Vienna State Opera and especially the Vienna State Ballet. The Vienna Ballet embodies in practice all the beautiful values of fraternity, collaboration, and co-creation, as it is a multicultural group with dancers from Europe, America, Asia, and Australia. It unites forces from around the world to serve the art of ballet and in the highest level. I also believe that this honorary award brings recognition to my country, a small island in the Eastern Mediterranean with an ancient history and culture, which due to its geographical location has often been the apple of discord for various powerful conquerors. Even today, after the war of 1974, my small homeland remains divided, with 1/3 of our island being an occupied area. One of my dreams is to dance in Famagusta at the ancient theater of Salamis, in a free and reunited Cyprus without foreign troops and military bases, where our people, Greek Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, Armenians, Latins, and Maronites will live in peace and happiness. I envision my country as a bridge of peace that connects Europe with the people of Asia and Africa, and not as a base for military rivalries. Unfortunately, our neighborhood is in flames, and from Cyprus we see missiles tearing through the sky, the sea, and the earth, bringing destruction. What does these thoughts have to do with the ballerina? We too are people with sensitivities and emotions. We feel pain when Mother Nature is destroyed, when we see the caravans of refugees created by wars and the migrants primarily caused by poverty. We hurt when we witness the rise of racism, nationalism, and religious fanaticism. I feel that the Centro Nacional de Cultura and the Gulbenkian Foundation, beyond recognizing those they choose to honor, aim to provide and elevate the beauty of human relationships, peaceful coexistence and co-creation among people, freedom and democracy, equality and justice, respect for diversity and human dignity. These are the universal values, and these are the real European cultural heritage. And the arts, including ballet, serve these great values, as aesthetics have morality at their core. Aesthetics is the struggle of beauty against ugliness, injustice, inequality, and any form of hubris that seeks to make humans mere pawns of power, intolerance, and violence. Recently, I danced the leading role in Swan Lake, one of the most emblematic works of classical ballet, with music by Piotr Tchaikovsky and choreography by Rudolf Nureyev. Although it may seem like a fairy tale in the realm of fantasy, this ballet is full of symbols that also reflect modern reality. The sorcerer Rothbard symbolizes evil, intrigue, manipulation, and deceit. His daughter Odile, the black swan, represents temptation, seduction, and the realization of evil. Siegfried is the young man in love who falls victim to deceit, while Odette, the white swan, symbolizes love, purity, and the desire to be freed from the forces of evil. In the same performance, I portrayed both roles. While portraying Odette, I felt the pure emotion of love and the hope for liberation. I dream of a world free from the forces of evil. Dancing Odile, I transform into false beauty, envious, a devious and malicious spirit that must sow discord, deceive, and ultimately destroy beautiful relationships. The black swan, which I understand is also used as a term in economics and politics to symbolize the destructive element with unpredictable consequences, seems to still roam victorious and triumph today. Can sensitive people and rational leaders stop the advance of the black swan? The answer is given in a beautiful allegorical reflection by a great Portuguese writer, novelist José Saramago. The worst of all walls is a door for which you do not have the key. We see the door. The question is how to find the key. I believe that the arts, with their imagination and humanistic and internationalistic character, show the way for politicians to find the way. To find the key, Dear all, a Greek poet, Yannis Ritsos, wrote in a poem, "We, my brother, sing to unite the world." Following this thought, I want to say that we also continue to dance to unite the world. Thank you very much for the honor you bestow upon me. Rest assured that I will carry with me to Vienna, Cyprus, and wherever I go, the positive experience of the hospitality, the cultural aura, and the kindness of the people with whom I had the opportunity to meet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Joanna, for such an elegance, grace, poetry, both in your ballet dancing and in the words that you have shared with us tonight. I believe that we are all dreaming of traveling to Vienna and seeing you performing live. I'm sure many of us will do that, and we know that this relationship that we have built with you as the ambassadors of the values of the Helena Vaz da Silva Award will continue for many years to come. And congratulations to you, but also, I believe, to the proud father who is here with us. I think we also want to tell you, what a wonderful daughter you have. Thank you for being with us. Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, now is the time to pay tribute to the winner of this year's Helena Vaz da Silva European Award, to the renowned European photographer Thomas Struth. Dear Thomas, if I can say, dear Thomas, it is a great honor to have you with us at this Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation as the laureate of this award. Let me read the words of the jury. They said that your work embodies what is essential in heritage. It portrays people, cities, museums, environments, and technologies. It comes as a revelation to many people. You are a European open to the world with an admirable intuition. And if a picture is worth 1,000 words, you wrote monumental pieces of works to keep things from dying, as you often say, which show and promote the passion for heritage, both European and universal. End of quote of the jury of this award. And it is now my pleasure to invite the president of the Gulbenkian Foundation, Professor Antonio Feijó, to make a laudatory speech for the laureate of this year's Helena Vaz da Silva Award.
Senhora Secretária de Estado da Cultura, Senhora Presidente do Centro Nacional de Cultura, Senhoras e Senhores.
I've only met Helena Vaz da Silva once to translate into English one of her texts, and so it's in English that I am going to take up I'm going to speak during the 8 minutes that I take up your time.
Several national pavilions, stops at the Academia and sits before Titian's large last painting, may well ask herself how what she has seen at both places may be denoted by the same general term of art. The term seems too large and equivocal to denote both. Titian's masterpiece happens to be one of the paintings before which Thomas Struth has photographed museum visitors. Struth's museum pieces, made at intervals between 1989 and 2004, seem to be immediately legible, as they show groups of people in which we recognize ourselves, either strolling, milling around, or less frequently, looking at major paintings. These museum scenes would seem to be ordinary, uneventful, eminently readable, but they have instead lent themselves to a great deal of speculation. The art historian Hans Belting, for instance, sees his Struth's aim as that of tracing, I quote, the consonance between paintings and their viewers, rather than the contrast between them, because he is interested in putting the people in the paintings and the people in front of the same paintings on the same level. End of quote. This equalizing impetus is contradicted by another critic, Michael Fried, for whom, and I quote, in the most compelling of the museum photographs, the persons depicted in the paintings and the actual persons who have come to the museum to interact with those paintings, far from taking part in a sophisticated game in which the boundary between painting and photography is continually breached, belong absolutely to two disparate and uncommunicating worlds. The terms of this debate seem starkly clear if applied to the first series of museum pieces, made between 1989 and 1992, of which the Louvre photograph of a group of museum viewers standing in front of Géricault's Raft of the Mid-Use, or that of a few stray visitors facing Caillebott's rainy Paris scene at the Art Institute of Chicago are prime examples. In this case, a mix of unevenly attentive museum visitors looking at the pictures, and on the other hand, distracted forms of behavior, as shown by some of the other visitors, resonates with our memory of similar museum visits, of the growing fatigue we then felt when we visited, and of the roving interest we had in the paintings that we looked at. The nature of the relationship between the museum paintings and the visitors who approached them, the subject of the critical debate between Belting and Fried, seems, however, not to be as such Thomas Struth's main object of concern. The relationship depicted in the photographs between viewers and artworks may be staged at times or not fully shown, and that upsets the equilibrium. This is clearly shown by a second series of photographs, which he made between 1996 and 2001 in the Pergamon Museum of Berlin, in which Struth strictly choreographed the dispersed audience in front of the exhibits, an audience which is then deliberately staged and lacks the spontaneity of an actual crowd. It is also shown by a third series of photographs made in 2004 under the title Audiences, in which we see crowds of visitors looking in Florence at an unseen masterwork outside the field of the picture. It happened that artwork is Michelangelo's David. Or at the Hermitage in St. Petersburg, looking at Leonardo da Vinci's Madonna with a Flower, which is also outside the field of the photograph. In this second and third series, the relationship between the museum viewers and the art object they look at comes undone by the deliberately staged nature of the Pergamon series and by the unilateral relationship between the museum visitors and the artwork around which they gather, both in Florence and St. Petersburg. What these photographs seem to enact instead is a meditation on art itself, showing how the common experience of visiting a museum is enigmatic and perplexing. What might be at work, the photographs seem to say, in the compulsive behavior of so many people like us that leads them to station themselves in front of art objects that have been detached from their place of origin, placed here in the museum where we see them, and made to transcend the pieces of matter which they ultimately are. This seems, in fact, to be the author's main concern. If we recall another late series of photographs he called Places of Worship. These places of worship include unsurprising compositions of Notre Dame in the Milan Cathedral. But they are also exemplified by unexpected public spaces, such as Tiananmen Square in Beijing and Times Square in New York, troubled places to which the term worship is now made to apply. Contemporary dislocations of function and meaning are seen at work here, and they may be less clear than we sometimes believe to be the case. It is, for example, remarkable that the museum pieces were apparently born from one photograph in another series of Struth's work entitled Portraits, showing us single persons, but mostly families. The series of museum pieces would derive from one of these photographs, in which we see, sitting at a table with his wife, the Scottish art historian Giles Robertson, the author, among other works, of a book on Giovanni Bellini. It is therefore fitting that one of Struth's major museum pieces be a Giovanni Bellini masterpiece, hovering high over a largely inattentive crowd in the Venetian church of Saint Zaccaria. I'm afraid I may have been led by my admiration for Struth's remarkable body of work beyond the mere task of introducing him. Let me briefly then, to conclude, recall in chronological order some of the series of photographs made by the author, starting from pictures of empty streets in Düsseldorf, where Thomas Struth was an art student, studying first under Gerhard Richter and then under Berndt and Illebecker. This was followed in 1977-78 by a series of photographs of streets in New York City, and back in Europe, in France, Germany, and Scotland, by a series entitled Unconscious Places. Places and cities are unconscious, as he explains, because, and I read a quotation, I had been thinking about this question of responsibility in the portrayal of urban space. It was a central part of the consciousness of growing up in the 1950s and 60s, the confrontation with my parents' generation, with Germany's past, interrogating the structures and realities of dictatorship, capitalism, and communism, which inevitably led to the question of individual and collective responsibility for the factual. End of quote. Pictures of Rome and Japan then followed. They were succeeded in 1985 by the author's remarkable first series of family portraits, to which I have alluded, a series to which Struth would return in 1996 and beyond. A remarkable trait of the series is that the setting of these family portraits is arranged by the sitters themselves, and that the look and demeanor of the family members photographed makes their portrait refreshingly alien to psychological readings. The two series of photographs of families and cities were at one time described by the author as being the only ones which are open-ended, not closed to newcomers, to new pieces. Other series include a series of pictures of flowers to be installed in the 37 rooms of a hospital in Winterthur, Switzerland in 1990. And, starting in 1998, a series of photographs of pristine natural places entitled Paradise. Starting in the early 2000s, the photographs have been of heavy industrial plants, urban construction sites, and applied physics as embodied in very thick settings of cables and machinery, indicative of a complexity difficult to master. Let me conclude by thanking everyone present here today, the jury of the prize, and of course Thomas Struth, whose presence here today at the Gulbenkian Foundation to receive the Helena Vaz da Silva Prize is a reason of deep contentment to us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. After this impressive laudatio, the winner is kindly invited to join us here on stage, Mr. Thomas Struth. Congratulations, congratulations, welcome. And I would like also to invite Madam Secretary of State and Madam President of the Centro Nacional de Cultura to join us here for the presentation of the award. And also the two members of the jury, Professor Subotic, Irina Subotic from Serbia, and Piet Jaspert from Belgium. So a truly European gathering for honoring the winner of Helena Vaz da Silva Award 2024. Pete. Now with everyone. Yes, yes. So you stay on stage, and everyone else can go back to their seats, and the floor is yours.
To say that it was a sheer pleasure to see you dancing, not in reality, unfortunately, but such a firework of joy. And I don't know, the person who spoke about you said that it says no, there were really expressions, so and I could see that because of some experience with technical images, like it translated very well to me. So that was very impressive, and I'm deeply moved by that. So I'm not, to be honest, I've never spoken in a kind of an environment like this with many Portuguese names and functions. So first of all, I wanted to thank everybody. This was an amazing speech. You always very good. Thank you to the jury and to the Minister of Culture, and so thank you very much. I want to thankful to you that I don't have to say anything about my work so precisely. The only thing I wanted to tell everybody that the museum photographs really started during the time when museums began to feel like train stations in terms of the amount of people that were there. I grew up in nearby Cologne, and I was a constant visitor of the Museum Ludwig at the time, which was very important for me. But in most of the afternoons I was there. I was one of maybe 30 people in the entire museum, and that changed very radical. And I had the feeling that people look at artworks somehow with too much respect they don't relate what the works, what's embedded in the works to their own lives. So there's too much of a distance in this. And so the museum photographs were initially really meant as an advertising campaign for spontaneous use of what you look at, so and not and just take what you're interested in and relate it to your own life. Anyway, I wrote something which I'm going to read. I'm touched, honored, and grateful to receive this award for my contribution to European culture. It came both as a complete surprise to me, but also, with all due respect, seemed to make sense, because my desire to advertise for curiosity, awareness, differentiation, and respect for the other has accompanied my artistic endeavor from an early age. How did it get there? Where do I come from? My sister, my brother, and I grew up as post-war German citizens in Düsseldorf and nearby Cologne. All of us born in the mid to late 50s, just a few years after liberation. Our parents were born in 1919 and 1926. Our grandparents in 1890 and 1899, which somehow continues to surprise me. I'm 70 years old. I just turned 70 2 weeks ago, but it's still, I feel still very young inside. My father was drafted to the army in 1938 and was part of the invasion of France and Russia, where he almost died twice. As I understood it, because of this personal trauma, he certainly felt, but never really admitted to us, his sorrow for the fate of millions killed by Nazi Germany. His soldier album of photographs and other family album pictures kept me disturbed and at the same time fascinated in search for truth and reason of who we and I had become and why. It made me realize how photographs can speak of truths in general, even though not literal. It helped me to trust and become friendly with the medium when I had started to quit painting in 1976. Our mother was a talented ceramist and loved the arts and supported me simply by enjoying what I did. During high school, I noticed that I was not made for a profession in which somebody else would command me what to do. I was searching for something unburdened, uncompromised and free, and found my air to breathe in art and music. In art, I delved into everything between Impressionism and pop art, enjoying the privilege to live not too far from the Museum Ludwig in Cologne, where I visited regularly. I started to paint and draw at age 15. In music, it was jazz, its powerful freedom and genius of improvisation. Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley, the multinational Kenny Clarke, Francis Ballon Big Band, and the pop music of the 60s and 70s. Trying to quickly get my hands on new releases by the Beatles, the Stones, the Cream, the Kings, and the Who. I played in our school jazz band and later as a drummer in an artist band in Düsseldorf. I was sometimes mocked as being an idealist, but how can we live if not as idealists, or at least with some kind of basic optimism? On March 1st, 1972, the Interrail ticket was issued by the European Railway Association to celebrate their 50th anniversary. It enabled people under 21 years of age to unlimited travel everywhere in Western Europe for 4 weeks. This included 20 countries. 87,000 tickets were issued in its first year. I was 17 years old at the time and took the chance. 4 friends and I traveled from Cologne en route to Amsterdam, Paris, Lyon, Venice, Trieste, Belgrade, and Athens. We occupied one or two compartments on the train and slept through the night to the rattling sound of the tracks, only woken up by passport controls. Arriving in a different town of another European country in the early hours of the next day. It was exciting, to say the least. We met countless other young people of different nationalities, slept on campgrounds or in our sleeping bags outside, under trees, on the side of farmland, in front of railway stations, without fear. Europe became literally our living room. An atmosphere of trust was in the air and of an optimistic future. After 4 days on a camping ground in Athens, we decided to split. With one of the others, I boarded a train to Istanbul the next day. The journey took 33 hours, which was kind of amazing because from when we left Athens, there were 2 steam engines in front, and sometimes the train just stopped in the middle of nowhere, and farmers came to sell fruit and vegetables and whatnot to the passengers on the train. And then about maybe 15 miles before Istanbul, they removed the steam engines and put the most recent electric locomotive. But it was a very, very different time. I mean, I'll continue. Where was I? Could I have some water, please? Oh, great. Sorry. So the other 3 members of our group left for the south of France, for Spain and Portugal. Mine's are sweet. That's okay. Thank you. The other 3 members of our group left for the south of France, for Spain and Portugal, agreeing that we would meet, that we would rejoin 12 days later, thank you, in Nice, which we actually did. I cannot recall how we managed to do this because there was no internet, no mobile phones, no postal address, which would have helped us to announce a change of schedule or receive mail, but we did. It was my first deeply positive experience of being a European citizen. It was really something where you just could go everywhere and you meet similar people, you met very different people, and the countries were very, very, very different. There were no companies or shops that were the same in every big town. It was really an experience I will be forever thankful. During the summer of 1984, 40 years ago, I visited Portugal for the first time. My girlfriend and I arrived from the northeast corner of Spain by car with a stopover in Bilbao, a dirty steel production town, then to Porto Aveiro and a brief visit to Lisbon. Then, a mere 10 years after the turn to democratically elected government, our weeks in Portugal were blessed with a series of sudden invitations from locals to join them for lunch with delicious food and wine. Even calling their friends who had once worked in Germany to come and join us to translate was something we experienced several times. We had an unforgettable time. That the Portuguese are the friendliest Europeans imaginable has been my common answer when non-Europeans ask me general questions about our continent and its people. Through these experiences, it occurred to me early on how important it is to learn and recognize history as the ground one stands on. This was the original impetus for the foundation of the EG and the European Union. Let's not forget it. The photographs you see as I speak seem to suggest an inner logic arching across the different bodies of work I did in the course of almost 50 years. However, at the beginning of each of them, I was first motivated by intuition, by both my own experiences as an individual, as a citizen with open eyes and an open heart, as much as the desire to speak about these elements of our reality in a category of common ground, to highlight how these phenomena entangle and impact all of us one way or another. The influence of the collective unconscious on architecture, the relationships within the nuclear family, the museum as an opportunity to locate yourself in history, identification and unreservedness, the promises of technological development and the belief in progress are themes that have preoccupied me during the different stages of my work and still do. What am I concerned about in the light of the wars in our vicinity and the rapid technological advancements? That our peaceful coexistence will be at peril through self-righteousness, greed, religious fanaticism, and authoritarian structures. That technological progress will continue to outspeed the jurisdiction as it has increasingly in the past decades, and that the distractions of the digital world will compromise our intelligence. That we don't find ways on both sides to mitigate the life circumstances of millions of people who seek a refuge. And in my field of work, that the arts could lose importance due to overproduction and historical ignorance. Let us always remember the original impulses for the foundation of the United Nations and the European Union to help us live in peaceful coexistence. The difference of cultures should not be ignored. They are part of the joy to live on this planet, and we do not have another one. Let me finish again with expressing my deep gratitude and my joy and honor to the Centro Nacional de Cultura, to the jury members of this award, and also to Europa Nostra and the Portuguese Press Club, and those who support the award for recognizing my work. And I also would like again to congratulate you for your fabulous work and your unique stance in this. It's really amazing. Thank you very much. Pressure, or you have both because of the technology about Instagram. These tools here, and it's that's why I included these two pictures with a large format camera and me, because this was the practice maybe until 5 or 6 years ago, where traveling with this equipment really meant it's 5 cases or 7 cases, and it's a difficult thing to load the sheet film at night in the hotel in total darkness, and then bring it back, put it back, exchange it, put it in a sealed box, and make sure that you bring it home to the lab to get developed and get through the airport and all these things. Nowadays, that's very different. It's a large digital camera, which changes a lot. Is much easier. It's one case and a tripod, and it doesn't need, it doesn't, but then you have nothing physical in your hand. It's just a file on the computer, and it's a different thing also, because you don't, the time you spend on location is somehow less, and I'm happy that I don't start with digital. I'm not a young photographer, that I have the experience of 50 years with large format, which requires a lot of time and a lot of looking before you set it up. anywhere. So thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the winner of this year's Helena Vaz da Silva Award. By listening to you, I was wondering, what would you think about the artificial intelligence? You and Joanna Avram as well. In any case, I'm mentioning that because tomorrow, Centro Nacional de Cultura, with the support also of the Gulbenkian Foundation and in the framework of our European Heritage Hub project, there will be a special session, the session on culture and artificial intelligence. And it will take place at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the Beato Innovation District here in Lisbon. And for more information, you can find at the Centro Nacional de Cultura website. But somehow, already before that conversation, I would say, fortunately, we have people like Joanna Avram and Thomas Struth. That's better than artificial intelligence, I'm sure. Thank you so much, both of you. But there is one person who, at the end of this ceremony, wanted also to congratulate our winners. He could not be with us, but he is a great supporter of the Helena Vaz da Silva Award. I think Maria Calado mentioned that as well, and that is the President of the Portuguese Republic. So he could not be with us, but he has recorded a video message of paying tribute to our laureates. So please, we would like to see the word is and the floor is for the President of the Portuguese Republic, Rebelo de Sousa.
Mensagem de Sua Excelência o Presidente da República para o Prémio Europeu Helena Vaz da Silva 2024. Não podendo estar presente na entrega do Prémio Europeu Helena Vaz da Silva, como era minha intenção e tem sido hábito nas diversas edições, quero deixar duas palavras. Palavras reincidentes, mas nunca extemporâneas ou desnecessárias, porque tocam ao mesmo tempo na questão do património cultural e, no caso deste prémio em concreto, da sua abrangência e ecumenismo. Se nas últimas décadas a consciência patrimonial se tem acentuado em algumas latitudes, embora nem sempre entre nós, isso terá provavelmente a ver com noções que, ainda que de certo modo em crise, são perenes e nunca se esgotam. A ideia da história e da preservação, de conservação e restauro, de achado e divulgação. A ideia de que não começámos ontem como indivíduos, como povos, como humanos. E a ideia da identidade podem ser mortíferas, como avisou o nosso bem conhecido Amin Maalouf, mas também constituem o fundamento daquilo que somos, individual e coletivamente. Tanto é assim que a categoria património se alargou, abrangendo, por exemplo, o fascinante, mas evidente conceito de património imaterial. Disso e demais cuidam há muito esta Fundação e o Centro Nacional de Cultura. E cuidam com o ecumenismo e a abrangência a que me referi. Este ano, premiando com uma menção honrosa a bailarina cipriota Joanna Avram e com o prémio Helena Vaz da Silva o fotógrafo alemão Thomas Struth. Como, noutros anos, premiaram Wim Wenders, Anne-Theresa de Kertmacher, Tolentino Mendonça ou Plantu. Sobre os méritos e os currículos falou o porta-voz do júri, mas permitam-me uma palavra sobre Thomas Struth, nome...
Struth, a name that no one who is interested in photography or who visits museums and exhibitions is unaware of. Interestingly, museum photographs are one of his most celebrated images, almost a mise en abîme, works of art seen by work of art, photography. What does Struth photograph? Sometimes with that blinding clarity of black and white. In addition to museum, their viewers, empty and crowded streets, churches, monuments, buildings, friends, family, and strangers. He photographs, if I may say so, the individual, even when manifested in stone or steel or glass, a human work that manipulated matter. In a nutshell, nothing that is human is strange to him, and that is also the best definition of heritage, culture, and the Helena Vaz da Silva Award. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. So, this session is adjourned. Thanking you for your presence and hope to see you in 2015 for the 13th edition of the Helena Vaz da Silva European Award for the dissemination of cultural dissemination of cultural heritage.
Could we have also a picture with both Joanna, you two together? Because we have picture separately. Yeah. Perhaps with a slide, with a no, no, the photographer is.